these pertinent issues, and my mind just goes back to what we started with at the beginning of all of this when we talked about a child who is in hospital and the system goes off. You cannot take care of the mother who is giving birth, and it's not. Those are the real issues that we're having to deal with when we talk about health, that you cannot claw back on when a life has been lost or somebody's life has been altered when it comes to an illness that they've not been able to get the medical treatment for. And now, not just those who go to seek health, but those who then give the service, doctors, nurses, clinical officers, across board. And those who say, okay, at least pay us something. And I think we've gotten over the point, Dr. that this is not a money issue. That there's not enough money or resources are not available, despite what we've been told. Or is it? When you tell me that they asked for 114 billion and they were given 2, or they asked for 110 billion and they were given 4, is it not a money issue?
Yeah, I talked about the 4 pillars of UHC, but then WHO adds a 5th pillar that overarches all of them, called leadership and governance. That all these things need some sort of coordination and budgeting and all that, yeah? And the HRH, the Human Resources for the Healthcare, is a very, very complex thing because you have almost 19 cadres treating one patient. Yeah, you have the doctor, the nurse, the lab officer, the radiologist, the pharmacist, all these people working towards seeing one patient. And the moment one person is not properly managed, then you're out. Even if you had 10 neurosurgeons, if you don't have a nurse in that theater, there's no surgery taking place. Yeah, so from 2013, when we had the devolution of healthcare, we mismanaged that component of that pillar of human resources for healthcare, and that's why we have had almost 300 strikes from that day. Yeah, and lately the strikes are not even about give us a pay rise. It's just about people say that please don't disturb us.
Right.
Just if you can't improve us,
leave us alone.
Leave us there. You found us. Get that? Like for example, the interns issue. These guys have been paid their salaries 26,000 from 2017, peacefully working, covering for 30% of the workforce that is needed in this country. Then somebody from nowhere just wakes up and say, no, we're overpaying you. We are going to slash your salary from 206 to 70,000. Yeah. And tell them, what do you mean? The worth of work that they do, if you have to hire people to do it, is worth 26 billion. These people are only spending 5 billion. You are saving 21 billion by interns working. It's a no-brainer. But somebody insists that they have to keep on just provoking. Or somebody refuses to promote you. You work at the same job group for 10 years. And you're like, and you only go asking for promotion, you hear the MC saying that, how can a doctor earn more than me? He's a doctor, duh.
I mean,
yes, sure, yes. Only when there's a state that you cannot even have transfers across the country. When Devolution came and found you in Busia, and your wife was in Bongom or Mombasa, you'll never live together as a family because you cannot move across countries, you can't even have that inter-county transfers. Or somebody tells you that you cannot pay school fees for specialists going training because you can't do them a favor. Come on, you're not doing me a favor by training a specialist. Mganga hajigangi, you train for the country. It's a no-brainer. So some of these issues are basic. I run a program in the union called Who Cares for the Carer? That every time that patient sits across your desk or lies on that bed or in that theater table, can they be assured that they have a safe healthcare worker handling them? The way when you walk with a plane, you never even get to see the pilot. But you are sure that this pilot is competent enough and they'll be taking you safely. Can we say the same, that today as a patient, as you are signing that consent to go for surgery, can you say that you are sure that that doctor has enough sleep, or they are busy coming the whole night to pay for it? Has that doctor even fed themselves? Has that doctor even received their salary? Can the doctor even receive the care? Can they afford care when they are sick? Or you have a sick doctor treating a sick patient? Those are the things that's why you see some patients will say that, oh, the doctor was rude, or I had a patient die in theater, or all these medical misadventures, because probably we don't have a safe doctor. For example, what happened, the 2 cases that I've dealt with the other day in our hospitals, where this doctor falls sick, and where he works, he does not have any cover. So what does he do? They're not even going to seek care where he works. He goes to a peripheral facility to seek care. And in that delay, things complicate. By the time they're ending up in this hospital, things are south. And After they die, somebody still tells you that you have 300,000 bill, SHA can only pay 30,000, or you can't go. And now you're stuck. I'm like, this person worked for you guys here.
Yeah.
Why would you give them care? Or the second case, whom thank God got well, who gets a stroke, falls sick, and after the treatment in ICU, SHA says that out of the 400,000, we'll only pay probably around 80,000. Then now the poor mother who now has a child who is disabled with stroke, paralyzed on a chair, has to then go to a Shylock to get money to clear the 348,000 balance in a hospital where they offered their services for free.
Where you told people that they would be able to walk into hospital and get care and walk
so
out.
can you imagine if the doctor is undergoing that? Or the other day, I have a doctor who was in Kisii, whose child has undergone surgery, she's distressed, and she still has to call me and wonder that she's been told that SHA is not working because the 9th deadline has locked them. Or the one who walked into Aga Khan and gets embarrassed because she can't, and send the screenshot of SHA, you're ineligible, yet you have paid for that money. Yeah, or the one whose child needed an NICU, neonatal ICU, and can't be admitted in one of the hospitals because when they log in, you are ineligible. And when you contact SHA, they tell you contact your employer. You get that? To remit their money. You know? So until we get to a point that we care for the carers, I can assure every single Kenyan, you are not safe until the doctor is safe. You can't be safe in an aeroplane where the pilot is probably suicidal, or he don't sleep, he's very sleepy and tired. You know, in aviation, they even have how many hours you must rest.
Yes, and beyond
before
this you
fly.
can't.
Yeah.
Yes,
or the
yes.
last time you must take like an alcohol or drug before you fly. All those safety measures. But the Kenyan, can you imagine undergoing surgery, scared on that theater table? You are being told it's okay, this will be okay. Then never having to wake up. Or your loved one, or your child, and are going there and never coming because a doctor made a mistake because in this moment as they are working on you, that child is at home sick or lacking school fees. We must care for the carers.
Actually, there's something that I have to ask here because when you had that 25-page documentation of what you felt ought to be done, right, and asked the question, if that was sorted out, would we then have a healthcare system that would at least meet the needs that the citizens have? That's one. Question number one. Question number two, how practical would that be, and what length of time would it take before we at least saw the full implementation of it, so that what we're hearing becomes the reality? It doesn't matter where you are, you actually get the help.
You know, we are not even here to reinvent the wheel. We had a 50-year-something old NHIF that had been perfected. Countries borrowed from us. Rwanda borrowed our UHC plan. The Thailand we go to, they are very clear that even as they put that kind of scheme, first of all, they have the civil servant scheme standalone, but more importantly, 60 to 70% of people in Thailand go to public hospitals. In our side, the flip is that it's private hospitals that are supporting the healthcare system because the public hospitals don't work. Yeah, and why do they do it? A private entrepreneur does not open a hospital because they love you so much. A butcher does not open a butcher because they love you so much. They are in business.
They want to make money.
Yeah, so they are in business, and when they offer services and you don't pay them their money, and when they make noise, you threaten them, they're going to shut down. Or even if you threaten them and shut them down, it's the Kenyans who have denied care. Yeah. So we first of all could have just said that, okay, what is this biggest challenge that we have with this NHIF?
Yeah.
And the only thing they have told us so far was corruption. Yeah. So if you know this woman who had 66 cesarean section in a year, or this limb that was cut 5 times in a year, then you must definitely know the patient. You must definitely know the doctor, the hospital. What have you done about it?
Yes.
As KMPD, we have said that we are even willing to pay for the money these people stole so that you can stop gaslighting us every time you raise issues around the failing system. Because when you complain about SHA, you're being told you're defending cartels, cartels are fighting back. But who stopped you from prosecuting the cartels? Yeah, the government, you have everything.
Especially if you know who they are.
Yes, you know about the limb, but you know about the doctor who did it. Let us stop being dishonest around healthcare because you cannot PR your way out of a bad healthcare system. Yeah, and I keep on saying that this government, their Waterloo, what will finally make them come down is their decision to be tone deaf on Kenyans crying about healthcare because the patients can't be wrong, the doctors can't be wrong, hospitals can't be wrong, bishops can't be wrong. That the only right person here is a politician who has a private medical cover.
Yes.
They can't all be wrong. They can't be taunted. They've been warned that whatever this pet that they think is a cat called SHA, it's a lion cub. And
it's
it's
gonna
going to
grow
grow
up.
and it'll grow until one day it will eat them. For now, it's still eating the rabbits and the chicken in the compound. But finally, it will eat the farmer. I can assure you that this thing is a monster. And if they don't fix it, because Kenyans can forgive you if you are a thief and you are fired, you go. Kenya forgive their thieves. But Kenya will not forgive you if they lose their loved one, my daughter, my mother, my limb, or my eye, because somebody somewhere decided that it was more important to make money than to take care of us. We don't even want them to allocate more funds. We just want them to allow us to use what we have prudently. You can't ban 104 billion. And when we
And you
complain, you
can't
tell
see
us
what
that
it
no,
did.
we didn't spend your money. We are paying it over at a prorated time. But it's still my public money going to a private pocket. Whether you're doing it over 10 years doesn't matter. That's my money.
That you could actually put into the system that would treat people.
In fact, NHIF say that they only need 700 million to fix the ICT challenges that was supposed to plug in the gaps of corruption.
700 million.
Only.
As opposed to the
104
104
billion.
billion.
And even when that system, the 104 billion system, crumbled the first time, a private firm was sourced for quietly to save the day. I know how much they charged?
No.
1 billion only.
1B.
Okay.
And that was saved the day when the 104 billion system was not picking up. So we have to be genuine. We live in a country where times are tough. We know that times are tough. We know government is broke. But you have to show me you're broke by how you spend my money. You can't be a dad who says that my kids, let's tighten up our belts, things are tight kidogo. But you're always coming home drunk. You're coming home with very brand new shoes. The next day you come back, your car has new tires. Everybody else is eating vegetables in the house except you, daddy.
Now, Doc, as we talk about this, let's go back to the money issue, because the ministry had requested for around 319 billion shillings. They were given 127 billion shillings. But let's take the 127 billion shillings that is there, plus the 100 billion shillings that was raised through SHA. Now, as we have this discussion, there is an issue on how these, say, 227 billion shillings has been spent, and there are existing gaps on where that money went to. So as we talk about the inadequacies with SHA and SHIF, you're calling for, let's go back to NHIF because it worked, but the government clearly, these are policy moving forward. So what is in it for medical workers and Kenyans, because they want to know what's the way forward?
Yeah. The budget issues have been a challenge from when government committed to spend 15% in Abuja. Yeah, and then things got compounded. The problems in 2013 with the devolution.
Right.
Because governors were told by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Transition Authority that let's unbundle these functions which have been devolved. Let's cost them. Then we devolve them kidogo as we give resources. But governors led by Isaac Ruto of Omet was very little those days. Said no, you're against devolution. Give us. We want to take it and run with it. Because in their mind they thought that healthcare is like when they see the big hospitals in town, it's money minting and all that. So they took it. Uhuru said, okay, you want it, take it. Now they found themselves with a function without resources. So that healthcare is 90+% devolved, but resources are all in Nairobi. Even if we combined all the monies that counties get for healthcare, cannot match up to the 173 billion Ministry of Health got last year.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the first challenge, that the resources are back in Nairobi, the patients are down at the counties. Yeah. And nobody wants to own up and say that, hey, we made noise, we beat more than we could chew. Let us surrender maybe level 4, 5, 6 back to Nairobi. You saw in Kisumu now they surrendered UTRH, Russia, back.
Yes.
And we are challenging that they should be surrendering more, because clearly somebody cannot give you 10 billion and expect you to do development, use more than 60% on paying salaries.
It's not going to work.
And some poor people who most of them are going to be coming to the hospital and you have to waive their medical bills, because if you detain them, you're still going to feed them anyway.
I mean, there's so many pots that are boiling at the same time, isn't it? I mean, we have this whole issue where patients, unfortunately, going to hospital, and this is not just a Nairobi issue. This is around the country, and not able to access. Number one, you have medical practitioners, across board. Whether we talk about interns, clinical officers, I mean, doing the thing. Nurses just complained. it just seems to be cyclical in nature. These complaints that we see, there is not one that takes precedence over the other in terms of the urgency with which it needs to be fixed. Do you think that government as an entity, because they are the ones having to deal with this, the framework setup and maintenance is a government role, are they overwhelmed or out of their depth?
Sometimes I want to think that overwhelmed, but no. I think that this thing is by design. There's somebody who is intentionally collapsing the public healthcare system to drive people to private healthcare system. I can dare say that because some of these are so basic. For example, how come that you'll always see the leaders of government, the president, they'll go to border summit, they'll go to headmasters and teacher summit in Mombasa. You'll never hear about healthcare summit. And when they finally did one in Karen, they were just government alone. Did you ever see workers there? They're just government people. And we ask them, where are the workers in this so-called summit? Could have just sorted this thing by writing memos to each other across departments. So the fact that nobody, we have even offered this SHA, we told the government, the president, that come, we are willing to sit with you for free, tell you where the challenges are, tell you what needs to be done. Once you commit them, we'll personally, as Ms. Keller and our colleagues, go and tell Kenyans that this has been sorted. Now let us register. Kenyans don't trust their politicians. So the moment you tell a politician to come tell me to register for SHA, in fact, my policy is this. What a politician tells me to do, I do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
You get that? So Kenyans will not register because some MP came with the checkbooks for bursaries and I register. The healthcare workers can be the biggest champions for SHA as long as the government is willing to sit and hear that. What is your experience? What are the challenges? Yeah, but every single time we've tried to engage SHA and the ministry and government to tell them the gaps, they don't listen, but they have answers. And most of the people in that SHA are theorists. Theorists. Ministry of Health has serious technocrats who could help them with this SHA thing. But no, there's some people somewhere who seem to know everything except how to solve the problem.
A former SG has now been nominated to be the PS at Medical Services. Do you think that this might, understanding the intrigues from when he was in the trenches as well, and then still, working through the medical process at Nairobi, do you think that it might make a difference? Because having understood the things that you're talking about now, Ms. Keller, would he then, do you think it would make a difference?
One thing I have to give to the president on the recent past is the way he has tried, at least, to show the healthcare workers that he now is ready to have serious people help him. The fact that he has acknowledged that mistakes have been done in the past. And as a union of healthcare workers, we are extremely happy with his recent appointments. From when he got the Dr. Deborah at the ministry, she understands the system, to when they got Nyikal in the committee, Dr. Nyikal, now Dr. Luga coming on board. Then Mudhoni, she's not a medic, but she's extremely good. Yeah, she can communicate it. She has her heart in the right place. She's been able to balance the workers. Yeah, and we have DG Amoth, also another doctor. The only thing now left is for them to be left alone to do the work. There's too much interference sometimes. When you hear people saying that Wazir is clueless, it's simply because I'd be clueless too with my clever mouth here if you made me a CS, and every time I'm getting phone calls from private interests whom you can't ignore because they have a big brother somewhere watching. They have to be let to do what they are trained and what they need to do. And I can assure you that it's going to be a very, very interesting boardroom having my emeritus SG across, the guy who did the CBA with his signature down there. And I'll be reading for him and quoting his words. I want to see, oh Lord, I hope they'll televise that bit of it. Yeah? I want to see how the border will be pushing back on a CBA that she benefited when she was a doctor in KNH or Ramoth. Yeah? It's going to be a very, very interesting space going forward. But in all this, let's know that public office, we hold it in public trust. Hizi si vyeo vya kujiekelea. Don't be a boss, be a servant. Absolutely. And above all, know that at the end of the production chain, there's a patient, a mother who might not have a voice to sit here and complain, who might not have a phone to tweet about it. Let's think about them every day as we sit in those offices in the morning when we are going to serve them.
Last one, Dennis.
Briefly, what will it take for you to rescind your decision on downing your tools?
Oh boy, let me tell you. downing tools is not the problem.
Yes.
A strike is not a sign of a broken down communication negotiation. A strike is a cornerstone upon which meaningful conversations take place. Because when now this stubborn employer who does not want to listen sees that they are going to lose something, then they are willing to sit down and have a serious talk. So trust me, strikes are part of talks. Very, very important parts of talks, because that's where meaningful talks finally begin. Si hata unaona hii broad based government ilianza baada ya watu kupangana pale kwa vita kidogo. Yeah, you have to finally fight at one point, then you sit down for peace. And what annoys us is that we have been fighting and sitting down for peace, but the other end does not honor their deal. The interest thing, we said 4th December, we agreed for peace. Now they are back again fighting with us again. And for us as KMPDU, fighting and striking is our bread and butter. So if you want it, we'll give it.
Thank you for keeping us honest. I mean, that's one of the conversations where we don't say we want to say, let's see what will happen in the future, but keeping us honest about what the current situation is.